Hi, my name is Jon Kelsen. I teach here at Drisha. I wanted to focus this week on the Haftorah of Parashat Bamidbar, which is taken from the prophet Hosea, the second chapter thereof. There are several points of intersection between the Haftorah on the one hand and the Parsha on the other, and I'd like to here zero in on one in particular. In the beginning of the Haftorah, the prophet speaking in the name of God says, "Rebuke your mother, rebuke rivu v'mechem rivu, for she has strayed from me." Israel here is imagined as a straying wife from God the husband. And in verse 5 of chapter 2 of Hosea in Haftorah, God says, "If not, I will punish her, and I will samtiha chamidbar. I will make her like a midbar. I will position her as a wilderness. Shatia ke'eretz tziyah, and there let her die of thirst." So here's a reference, of course, to desert, Bamidbar, our book on Parsha, which we're focusing on this week. And the sense here is that to be like a desert is a negative thing. To be like a desert is to be like a place of barrenness, a place of thirst, and a place of death. On the other hand, later in the Parsha, when the prophet details the famous reclaiming of Israel, the wife, by God, this is in verse 16, later on in that chapter, God says, "Lachein, therefore, hinei anochi mefatiha, I will speak to her coaxingly," as the JPS says, "I will speak to her seductively. V'holachtiha hamidbar, and I will lead her, I will take her through or into the desert. V'dibarti al liba, and I'll speak to her heart there." Again, JPS, speak to her tenderly. So at the end of the Haftorah, the desert has now become a place of seduction, of love, a place of speech. Perhaps the term midbar may even be a play, or actually a word which comes from the term dibor, a place of speech. Just like mitbach is a place of slaughter, and mikdash is a place of holiness, maybe midbar is a place of speech. Holachtia hamidbar, I will take her to the desert. V'dibarti al liba, and there in the midbar I will do dibor. I will speak with her. I will interact with her. There we will have a tender relationship. So the Haftorah presents the desert, the midbar, as both a place of death, of punishment, of thirst, and on the other hand, as a place of seduction, of love, and of dialogue. And these two framings of the midbar, I would argue, as presented in the Haftorah, serve to invite us to read the whole book of the Bamidbar in general on two parallel tracks. On the one hand, the desert wanderings are full of missteps, full of thirst and hunger, death of the whole generation of those who left Egypt, of wanderings, of distance and dissonance. And on the other hand, the whole book can also be read as a march towards the land, right? A march of humans surrounding the sacred Mishkan, which has been constructed in the prior books, towards progression towards somewhere better. All the trials and tribulations are, in that sense, Yisurin shel ahava, as we call them, tribulations and trials born out of love and pushing towards a greater existence. So these are two parallel tracks, two parallel modes of reading the desert narratives, which the Haftarah invites us to engage in. And I would also argue for our own lives, there are always two ways of reading our own lives as well. All the wanderings in our own deserts can be understood, and perhaps sometimes appropriately, as ones of pain and thirst, but we're also invited to look at them as places of v'dibarti al liba, places where if we learn how to listen, we can actually hear the tender call. Shabbat shalom.